They're the liberal rednecks. They like cornbread and butt sex. They care way too much but don't give a fuck. They're the liberal rednecks that makes some people upset, but they got three big old dicks that you can suck.
Oh, while I'm doing that, Trey, do you want us to not come to your birthday? Is that what I'm
Yes, I
doing?
do want you to not come.
Okay.
I don't want anybody to come.
I was trying to swallow orange when you said that, and that almost fucking ended my whole life. Woo. I know,
yeah,
like,
I mean, I know that sounds extremely Raven if you don't know any of the context or whatever.
like, I know that sometimes, like, you'll be texting people and you'll say something, it'll be funny, and they'll be like, I literally just spit up my water, and I'm like, all right, you probably didn't, but like, I literally just almost fucking choked to whole death on an orange.
Yeah.
Were
you recording already?
Yeah.
I request that you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't care if it's a bumper to start the episode or if we're just going now. I don't care, but I request.
Oh, we're going.
All right.
Oh my God.
I
can't fucking quit eating, by the way, speaking of oranges.
Well, hang on. I would love to get back to that a little later. I want to do a thing, but I'm not sure exactly how to do it because it's not set in stone yet. It's a very sad turn of events. It seems very likely that the dog DMX is going to pass from this.
Is it really?
Realm.
Really?
Well, the last thing I saw was that he's still alive, but he's on life support in a vegetative state, which that
don't hit.
Pretty much. I mean, that almost always means that
right.
You dead. Like there ain't no coming back from that 95% of the time.
I know that, but I also am like, I'm just like, yeah, but it's the
well,
dog.
I know an insane story about that exact subject. I can't remember if I've ever told on the show or not, and I will tell it a little later just because it's relevant and it is wild as hell, but it don't have a happy ending though. But anyway, I'll get back to that, and I just want to say, DMX hits. That's it. That's all
he does. He does.
Like, I don't want to say rest in peace.
No, I know
because he's not dead yet. But I want to.
Well, look, here's the deal.
Somehow or another, but like DMX was. Anybody that knows me well at all knows that DMX was like my numero uno. I was a DMX super fan as a fat white trash dorky child. This is what I always say because it's true. Like as a 13, 14-year-old, I literally believed that DMX was far superior to John Lennon. I thought DMX was like the best songwriter that had ever lived, and I would argue with anyone to that point. I worshipped.
Do you remember how you and my buddy Robbie first bonded?
Yeah, I do, because I had heard. Yeah, I remember it precisely how, because I'd heard all about your buddy Robbie, your like childhood best friend, but I'd never met him. And I was at a party after a show one night at your house at a show at the Comedy Catch, and Robbie was there, but I hadn't really talked to him yet. And I was standing in one group of people, and Robbie was in another group of people that was beside us, and like Party Up was playing, speakers or something. And I heard Robbie say the words verbatim to some other person. He was like, you know what? Fuck it. Like, as far as I'm concerned, DMX beats the shit out of John Lennon. I just turned around, and he didn't even know why I was doing this at first. I just turned around and I like grabbed his face and I hugged him or whatever. And then I told him that story or whatever. And yeah, we've been homies ever since. That was the first interaction I ever had with him.
I think that what you've just, you said, I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to start this. And then you said, I don't want to say rest in peace because he's not dead. I actually think that this brings up a larger point that's something to explore, which is we should have been talking about DMX the whole time. Like people always go like, oh yeah, everybody says nice things at your funeral, but like, wouldn't it be nice if people did that in real life? And it's like, well, here's the deal. If we just spend our whole day saying nice things about alive people, we would run out of time. Like that's what happens when someone dies. You dedicate to this person. That's how that works. However, I do think, while he's still with us, even if it is in just some sort of like spiritual realm right now, it's totally fine that we offer our praise to the dog, who is, I mean, I'm with you, dude. Like, fuck John Lennon, like, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, it's funny because both DMX and John Lennon are kind of complicated figures. I want to say, like, especially like
Right.
in the world we live in now.
They've done some shit.
If you get onto DMX threads right now on the internet, you already see it. There's plenty
Oh,
of
yeah.
people that are like, look, don't act like this guy's a saint just because he died or whatever, like that
Yeah.
type of thing. And I'm just not gonna have none of that where DMX is concerned.
I hear
can
you.
trust me with all that shit because look, here's the deal. Did he, did he have a bunch of kids that he didn't pay child support for and whatnot? Sure.
Sure.
Did he carjack a man at an airport while pretending to be an FBI
Who
agent?
hasn't?
Right, he did, but he had a massive, truly impressive oeuvre of wonderful
Right.
music, and more importantly, the context of that is this dude was like orphaned by both his parents when he was like
Right.
7 or 8. He was abandoned at a home for troubled youth. So I was like, how'd they get troubled? Well, if you get kicked out of the car in front of the place, that's probably going to trouble you some. But
Right.
he started off there. He had the guy that got him into rap music, or one of the guys that got him into rap music, who was a few years older than him. And DMX looked up to him like an older brother and like loved this dude. And he's the one that introduced him to hip hop and all this stuff. And that dude, when DMX was like 12 or 13, that dude slipped him crack
Jesus.
in a cigarette or a joint
the-
or whatever
was
without
a
telling
joint.
him. Yeah, slipped
He
him
was
crack.
already like, smoke some marijuana, little 12-year-old.
and then he
it's
slipped
crack.
crack into it without telling him. And that's actually the start of DMX.
Is that what Angel Dust is?
Angel Dust is PCP. I
It's
think.
PCP. Okay. Right.
Which is
Right.
supposed to be even wilder.
No,
People
for
do
sure,
that-
for sure.
People do that with PCP too, but
It's just it's the weirdest thing because like, there's that whole, like, we were always told that strangers were going to just give us drugs, and that's never happened. And it's like, for the most part, that is true, but you do every now and then hear about someone who just slips PCP or crack into a joint. It's like, to what end? What were you trying to do? Like, why would you give
never
give
a
away
stranger.
drugs?
That's never a stranger. That's
Right.
always your buddy fucking with you.
right. I was about
that's
I
so
think
fucked
Drew
up.
is mostly, yeah, because I've heard comics and stuff be like, no drug dealer does that. That's a waste of drugs. And it's like,
Right.
you're right. No drug
Yeah,
dealer. It's not
right.
drug dealers who ever do that shit. It's like Ari dosing Bert.
Yeah, which,
like,
by the way, Ari's fucking so lucky that nobody punched him in the goddamn face.
yeah, right.
Because I
But
probably
that's-
would have. Like,
That's
if
what
he did,
always. That's
if he did
usually
that
the
to me and it
context
fucked
of
up a
that.
meeting of mine, I'd have beat the shit out of him.
Like that guy that did that to DMX was some older kid who was a dirtbag himself and was
Right.
like, who was like, this would be funny. and
Misery
gave
loves
crack to a
company
12-year-old.
subconsciously.
Yeah, he like thought it'd be funny, just a prank bro type shit. But as a, when I was like 13 or whatever, with a felonious mother and a hard drinking, sick single father and fucking piss poor white trash middle of nowhere, hormones and rage I didn't understand. DMX spoke directly to my soul, baby.
Yeah,
All
I was
that
about-
anger-
I was about to
he
say,
did
like-
all that anger. I've said before as a joke, but it's really not a joke at all, that I'm so glad that YouTube and shit wasn't a thing when I was like a preteen or a teenager, because I would have had to scrub the internet of like videos of me as a fat 5'6", 13-year-old white trash dork in like the back room of my trailer, fucking
Wearing a jersey backwards.
yeah, wearing a jersey backwards or a wife beater with a chain or whatever,
Yeah.
just rapping fucking DMX lyrics into the, into the flip phone or whatever.
Was it chains?
I would have. Did I have chains?
Yeah.
He made them out of paper clips.
I had one, I'm sure, fake gold chain. With
One
a-
chain.
with a
One
One
chain.
chain. I couldn't afford 2 chains.
Dude.
I very much was one chain. Should have been half chain. And it was a very rinky dink shitty chain too. And it had a power T charm. I was trash. I was a
Here's the-
Raiders fan.
Here's the deal, though.
It was I mean, I still am a Raiders fan, but like I was people don't understand. I was trash.
Here's the deal. There's
I
a
love that
bunch.
shit.
There's a bunch of people in this world, both alive and dead, that you could describe the way that you just described DMX, but none of them wrote up in here.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, like, I don't know what to tell you.
But the thing is, well, even with that, and I know you meant it in the most positive way, and you're right. But like, people don't realize that. Yeah, DMX had Party Up, but he also had Slippin', and like
right? Yeah,
that's a real
Stories-
song,
dude. I know.
Go
I
back-
know.
Go back and listen to that shit. It's like he had shit to say.
Yeah.
He was an artist. He
Yeah.
was truly unique too. Like nobody
He
else
was.
has ever been quite the same thing that DMX is in the
Yeah.
history of rap music.
And is hard.
No, never as
that's
hard.
part of
Bring
it.
Your Whole Crew is the hardest rap song of all time. I'll go to my grave.
Who? What is?
Bring Your Whole Crew?
But
Yeah.
dude, it's not even close.
It starts
he was-
out, and I used to rap this in my trailer. I got blood on my hands, and there's no remorse. I got blood on my dick
because I fucked a corpse.
It's
Now, by the way, there
hard.
probably have been harder songs, but they didn't go mainstream. You know that
Yeah,
there-
not by
there's a
mainstream
huge difference
people,
in
right.
that. He was the hardest to do it, but also really, really hit for people and had commercial appeal.
Well, the thing is, and like, look again, white trash. Of course, I loved Eminem too, but it's like Eminem and DMX. They shared kind of the same moment. They were like two sides of the same coin almost.
Yeah.
And Lord, I loved them both. Thankfully, Shady's clean and doing all right. But
The only comp, in my opinion, is Tupac. And that's just in terms of going hard, but then also, I mean, dude,
Being
this
a
was a
poet.
mainstream song. I can't remember which hit it is, but all I know is rain. All I feel is pain. How can I maintain with that shit on my brain? At the time,
that's Rough
in
Riders
rap-
anthem, I do believe, which is
That
one
is
of
Rough
one of the
Riders
club bangingest club bangers of all time. By
it's
the
a
way,
banging club banger. And that line at that time in rap, the only people who were rapping stuff like that were like conscious rappers who would never be making club bangers.
Right.
He's slipping in mental health comments while he's talking about how he's gonna whip everybody's ass and fuck their hoes.
I was thinking earlier,
yeah.
there's a lyric in Slippin', which
Well
Slippin'
said.
was like a rap radio hit, and the whole
Yeah.
song is stuff like that. And I was thinking the lyrics from Slippin' earlier. He's like, was it my fault? Something I did to make a father leave his first kid at 7, doing my first bid. Back on the scene at 14, wrote a scene to get more green than I'd ever seen in a dream. And by all means, I would be living high off the hog because I never gave a fuck about much but my dogs. Anyway, yeah,
beautiful.
he kept it real. He's one of the realest keeping it
Ever.
motherfuckers of all time.
Dude,
Well, I
abso-fucking-lutely.
apologize for bringing him
I'll
up
say
and
one more
murdering
thing
him.
about DMX. We can keep going if y'all want to, or we can move on, or y'all can have your piece. But this is just, it's important to me. Also, if you fuck around on the internet and read DMX threads and stuff, there are countless. Yes, there are all these stories. Well, court reports and shit.
Right.
of
Yeah.
bad
Evidence.
things that he did. But
Right.
there are also a ton of personal anecdotes from regular people or fans who randomly ran into him and said he was like the
Sweet as fuck.
sweetest, nicest
Yeah.
dude to them on an interpersonal. Sure, he asked them if they could get him some crack or whatever.
Right. But like,
But he also like helped them change a tire on their car or whatnot. Hopefully in exchange for some crack that he did not get. But like he was
Right.
nice to people, is what I'm saying. People, that
which
worked
by the
at
way,
Disney
that's what you
and stuff
want.
would say backstage, like he treated everybody well. He was super cool, and it was like they would be like what I'm doing. People that had like worked with him they'd be like, yes, he was raving on crack,
Right.
sure, but he was a nice guy,
Right. Right.
So like
That can go either
DMX
way.
was complicated.
Yes, of course he was. And I don't have anything original to add after that, other than I share your sentiments. He was fucking awesome. Obviously I'm hoping for some sort of miracle, but barring that, for what he is, fairly good run. Like
Absolutely.
not like
Yeah.
for doing as much crack in as many chilies as he did.
Yeah, right. Well, so
You don't get a lot of them.
What on that note?
That's
kind
what
of,
I was
saw
going to bring
somebody-
up.
I saw somebody on a hip hop head subreddit, and don't let me forget, just because I teased it up top and I said it was a wild story, and it is a wild story. Have me tell my coma story when we get done with DMX.
Oh yeah, please.
The hip hop heads thing. I saw somebody posit on there because some people were talking shit about DMX. Someone was like, the people are like, don't act like just because he died, whatever. And another guy said, he was like, dude, straight up right now, if DMX had died at 28, 29, 30 years old, he would be considered right beside Tupac and
Absolutely.
Biggie in the pantheon. If he had died in his prime, at his
Right.
peak, the way they
goes.
did, that's exactly how people would view him too. And of course, I agree with that.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's an objective fact.
Right. Yeah. People forget. People forget, man.
They do,
We had a great run of hits.
unless you
and
need them
albums.
to, and then they fucking don't.
Never forget. Yeah. Right. Yeah. That's so true.
Sorry, Drew.
It's all right. Did y'all see where I think it was Behind the Music? He was having an asthma attack on VH1 Behind the Music. They had a scene of it. He came off stage and he was like, I need my inhaler. And they were like, we don't have it, D, right now. And he was like, fuck it. I'll die rapping. and then he just went back out and finished the concert, and they had to take him to the hospital that night.
Real.
No, but that fucking rules.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
Fuck
rules.
it. I'll die rapping.
Yeah. And then
I hope
obviously
he-
the God in his chilies. Have we talked about that on here before?
I don't
Corey
think
just
so.
referenced it a minute ago.
Yeah.
That's the only time I think.
And I don't really know much about it except for that
that
it did happen.
yeah.
Like
he
he
saw
said
God in the
that.
chilies.
Yeah. Do you know more about the whole experience?
Well, I think he was on crack.
Yeah,
And,
That's
see,
the
he
only
was-
way that you see
yeah.
God in a Chili's, for the record.
Well, and he felt him first, and he was preaching. That's the other thing that people
Yeah.
maybe miss is he had started preaching in life, which I got mixed feelings about that. You know, on the one hand,
Trust me too.
religion. On the other hand, hell yeah, start preaching, D. Like, what
Oh,
else
yeah.
you got to do?
Get yours.
Have you all? The other thing, you guys know the story? He used to battle back when that was all underground and wasn't on YouTube. You could only get like a rep doing it, and he battled. Supposedly, he battled Jay-Z. It was supposed to be 2 rounds, but they set it up to where you could tie. You know what I mean? Back then, it was like, oh, we'll just do 2 rounds, so they have to keep going if it's good. Supposedly, they battled for a fucking hour, and then a fight broke out, and they didn't get a finish, and they argued for years over who won.
That really hits.
I have no trouble believing a word of that.
Me either.
I mean, it's a fucking legend, you know.
That sounds
and-
exactly the way I would have expected it to go.
yeah. So
Fighting on.
I apologize for murdering him, Corey. We brought him up out of the blue last week because we were talking about devil imagery and rap because of Lil Nas X.
And that cover of him with the blood and shit.
Yeah, and the whole album, the interlude.
Which, by the way,
selling his soul.
one of my cousins had that poster, and that fucking poster went hard.
My
That
brother
shit
had
covered
that
the
album.
fuck
the
out of you.
album cover of Flesh of My Flesh,
Yeah.
Blood of My Blood. Yeah.
Wasn't that
Did
the
y'all
one
see what I
Trey that had the
tweeted
interludes?
about that?
Who did?
Me, did you see what I tweeted about that
Uh-uh.
album with the picture?
Uh-uh.
This is true. When I was like 12, we were on a field trip somewhere to like the
I know this story, but go ahead.
Cumberland Playhouse or something.
Yeah.
And on the way back, we stopped at, a fucking Applebee's in a mall or something like that. It had to be in Cookeville, and
It
there
was
wasn't a
Chili's.
restaurant in the mall. We were in the mall in Cookeville. I don't know why we're in the mall in Cookeville on a field trip. Maybe it was just part of the field trips. Like these little trailer babies never get to go inside a mall. We'll go in there.
Do they have a food court? Sometimes you stop at the mall.
Not
so
the
you don't
mall in
have to-
Cookeville, dude. It was
Oh.
garbage. I don't know what we were doing in there, but anyway.
I bet you it was what you said.
Yeah, probably. It
Yeah.
probably literally was.
They'll get to see an escalator before they overdose.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. The pit stop on the way back to our
Yeah.
horrific existences in Salina, Tennessee. Whatever it was, we were in the mall. And we were. I went to this music store in there, and we had a guidance counselor my whole childhood in Salina. And Salina is such a small school.
That's a
system.
hard fucking job, by the way.
For
That one
dude.
specific.
I think back on that sometimes. I'm like, God, what a saint she genuinely was. We all thought she was a saint then, honestly.
Right.
She was super nice to everybody. Everybody loved her. And Miss Jane was her name, and she was super, super, super Jesus-y. But again, you're right. Being a guidance counselor in Clay County, Tennessee in the mid to late 90s and early 2000s, like she saw some shit.
Yeah,
son.
buddy. She's
And-
cried like really hard tears for
Yeah.
people that were not
And I mean,
related to her.
Part of it was my shit.
For sure, dude.
She saw. But anyway.
Is she dead now?
No, she's still going. And again, like I got nothing but love for Miss Jane, but she was
Yeah.
very, very much a very Christian, very like I don't even mean politically conservative, although I'm sure she is. I mean conservative in the sort of like, you know what I mean? The other
Don't wear
sense of the word
pants.
conservative. Well, yeah, just would never cuss ever. She's very like prim and proper, like, you know what I mean? She's like just I guess goody two shoes, even though again, it served her position well, but that part's important. Keep that in mind. Y'all know the type, right?
Yeah.
When we go on that field trip, I'm 12. It was 1998. That's when it came out. I'm 12 years old on this field trip, and we go in the mall, and I tried to get super Christian ass Miss Jane to buy me the explicit copy. Because fuck the other version. Who even
Dude,
wants
don't
the other
hit.
version? That's a waste of fucking time and money. The explicit copy of DMX's brand new release, Flesh of My Flesh, Blood of My Blood, which, yes, as y'all were referencing, if people out there are not already familiar with that album cover, it's not just the name of the album.
Yeah.
Let's pull it up.
Cho, can you just either let me share my screen or you just Google it, Corey, and put it up? I
Yeah.
don't care either way. But it's
Go ahead,
DMX
continue.
covered in blood. On both the front and the back. The front is the front of him, and the back is the back of him, coated in blood. And then the track list is also there, and it's got such notable classics on it as, and some of these I can't say. My N words is number 1.
Yep.
Bring Your Whole Crew is number 2. Again, hardest rap song of all time. We Don't Give a Fuck. Keep Your Shit the Hardest.
By the way, I find that to be real true.
Yeah.
I don't
What?
think he gave a fuck.
No, he did not.
Mm-mm.
And then Flesh of My Flesh, Blood of My Blood, Ready to Meet Him. The rest of the names aren't so bad, but it's like, yeah, there you go. There you can see it. I mean, it again, put yourself in the mindset of this woman in 1998.
Oh, yeah.
You know, Miss Jane in Salina, Tennessee in 1998.
I know,
Like,
by the way, I know how you were able to get it from her.
I didn't get it from her.
Okay. I thought you were just
Dude, she was mortified. And I tried to picture what I tried to picture.
trying to say, like, no, he's white. You just can't
Oh, 'cause
tell.
he's covered in blood. No,
Yeah.
I mean, shit. Right. But no, I didn't get it from her. I didn't even get close. She was mortified. The pitch I tried to give her, which was 100% legitimate, and this is how I ended up getting the CD, was I was like, my dad will buy it. I was like, if you could call my dad right now, which you can't because it's 1998 and we can't do that. Right.
Right.
But if you could call my dad right now, he would tell you it's fine. He'll just get it. He'll buy it for me whenever I ask him to. So why don't you just do it now? And she was just like, dude, there's no telling how many prayers. I don't know how all that works still, how the praying works, but I know she prayed a lot for me that evening. But then, yeah, later my dad just, the next time we went to Cookville or whatever, he just picked it up. And,
Did DMX hit for him?
No, rap didn't hit for my
Right.
dad, but like he didn't care at all. About
Right.
me listening to stuff like that. He really was hardcore about, like, in that little Nas X video I made where I pretended to be my dad, I had him say, like, no, I said they're all full of shit, but he was like, he always used to say censorship is bullshit.
Yeah,
He
yeah,
used
yeah.
to tell me that, like, even when I was 5 or 6, he just fundamentally didn't believe in the concept of censoring artists, like, no
Yeah,
matter what.
Yeah, your dad was
And-
all right.
And he was like, he knew that if he acted that way about DMX or Eminem or whatever, that would be hypocritical.
Right.
And he didn't roll like that.
My dad, for the record, was always the same way. Like, he never liked rap, but he never once was like, I don't want you listening to this shit. You know
Yeah,
what I
right.
mean? But then I will say, when Dad, we talked about him earlier, when as soon as Eminem came out, Dad, it was not the first album, but by the time 8 Mile came around and he heard that song, my dad was like, with this guy, this is what you, okay. All right. Yeah, no, I get that. I get it. I mean, it's
Yeah.
not for me, but it's fucking good.
Right.
Yeah.
Pretty
Yeah,
undeniable.
Yeah, right. She's like, what are we gonna do? What
That
do
was
you
like a
say
show
about
tune.
that, son?
So a quick version of the story that I've teased twice now.
Oh yeah, the
is
coma
that
version. The
I had
coma story?
because DMX is in a vegetative state right now. And we're like, that almost always means like you done.
Right.
But I know for a fact it doesn't literally always mean that, because but again, this story does not have a happy ending at all. So disclaimer up top. But there was a member of my extended family. None of my family stories have a happy ending. Member of my extended family. So it's like I don't want to say the actual relation, but it was like, like, let's say it was like a cousin's husband's brother, right?
Yeah.
So it's like that. But I'm
Right.
really close to the cousin and the husband, right? But it's the husband's brother got in a really, really, really bad motorcycle wreck in like probably 2002 or 2003 or something like that, and was in a vegetative state on life support at Vanderbilt. And all the family was there, and the doctors were telling them, like, straight up telling them, like, you got to pull the plug. Like, that's what you got to do. You got to pull the plug. And this was actually all kind of close in time to that Terry Schiavo shit and all that,
That was rough.
Yeah. And the mom you know, who's mamaw age, all that, because these are adults we're talking about, the brothers. They're like both in their 30s or 40s. The mom in her 70s was like, she just wouldn't do it. She just refused to do it. She's like, no, I'm not going to do it. And they couldn't do it if she wouldn't allow them to do it. And they were like, look, he ain't going to wake up. He's not, you know, like, you got to pull the plug. And then, like, I don't know, 10 days, 2 weeks, I don't remember exact timeline afterwards, he just woke up. And
God
like,
damn.
and he was not ever the same again. Don't get me wrong, but he wasn't a like
complete vegetable
invalid, you know, a total, like he could walk and talk and all that. He was never the same again. For sure. It's not like if it was DMX, he wasn't never going back to rapping. Right. But like, he lived alone and could take general care of himself and generally just lived a life again.
Yeah, I mean, that's way better than expected.
Right.
I bet that mamaw went to that doctor like
stuff. And just because I know people will want to know, this actually isn't related to that unless it's a situation where it's like people taking advantage of a guy in that position or just a random act of violence. But he, a few years after that, was brutally murdered. Yeah. And like murdered.
Oh God.
Yeah. Yep. Clay County. By some meth heads. By some meth heads. Yeah. And
at least he got to live long enough for that to happen.
Right. Yeah,
and there was,
I mean, again, it ain't a nice story. But
like he did come out of it though.
But yeah, right.
Like,
every time
that has nothing to do with the fucking vegetative state.
Because all the doctors and stuff were like, you know, look, it's just not gonna happen. You got to pull the plug, and she wouldn't do it. And I'll be goddamn. He just
God damn it.
If they cut his head off first, he was probably fine. You know, that went quick.
I don't know the
order
of how that all went down, but it was wild.
Did you say they were meth heads? Because like that's why they did it
was somehow meth related. I don't remember the specifics exactly.
The dismembered was probably for disposal, right?
Yes, it was.
Okay, so they probably just straight up killed him first.
It wasn't like for pleasure. It was
right.
Yeah,
they probably just beat him in the head to death.
Hide it or whatever type of situation. But it was.
He's fine then.
Yeah, then hell.
Wild.
Man was on borrowed time. Hell.
Yeah, he won.
But Dave, for real though, did that mamaw talk any shit to them doctors?
Hell yeah, she did.
I'm sure.
You know she did.
I'm sure she did. I was never, again, because I told you it's like, you know, cousin's husband's brother. Like I was never at the hospital or present for these conversations or anything. But dude, I'm sure she did.
I mean, for the record, I would have.
Yeah. Well, yeah,
but
for sure.
But here's the thing though, if I'd have been in charge, his ass would have been dead.
Me too.
I'd have believed the doctors.
I've been though. Like I wouldn't have. That's the thing. Like I'm glad you said that actually, because I don't want anybody to think that because I had that experience and that anecdotal experience that I now think that like feel different. Because I don't.
I would have suggested pulling the plug on Amber before the doctor even said anything.
Dude, you gotta. Of course, it's sad. It's horrible, but like you gotta
kill me,
man.
Oh, dude, please.
Oh yeah, because for sure, dude, for sure.
No, dude, you know how fucking mad I would be if I come back and like, let's say it's like, yeah, you can still live by yourself, you can still wipe your own ass, but you kind of can't do the things you were doing before. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, y'all could have just let me go. And now I would be so mad that I was that close, man. I'd have been so mad.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Would hit to die. So this week we're sponsored by BlueChew. You know what makes it hit harder being alive?
Getting a big old rock hard dick.
Big old rock hard dick. And as y'all know, I'm sponsored. We love them. BlueChew is a unique online service that delivers the same active ingredients as Viagra and Cialis, but in chewable form and at a fraction of the cost. BlueChew's tablets help men achieve harder, stronger erections to combat all forms of erectile dysfunction. And it's an online prescription service, so no visits to the doctor's office, no awkward conversations, no waiting in line at the pharmacy. It ships right to your door in a discreet package. All you got to do, sign up at BlueChew.com, consult with one of their licensed medical providers, and once you're approved, you'll achieve your prescription within days. And it's all done on that there internet there. It is super easy. All three of us have done it ourselves. It's a very easy process. We can speak to that personally. And the pills do hit. You don't have to swallow them, chew them up. It's got sildenafil and tadalafil. Thank you. And they're chewable tablets made here in the USA, and they ship to you direct, and they hit for Cho, don't they, Cho?
They do. And I was just thinking, like, you know good and well that tadalafil wasn't named first. Like,
Right.
They took
Right.
it and went ta-da.
Yeah, to their dick. Absolutely.
Like their wiener was a wand. BlueChew, yeah, they're made in the USA. I love them. My wife loves them maybe more than me, as I've told y'all a million times.
More than you love them, or more than she loves you?
Both. I told the famous story of the Amber is one time I was standing up in it one night, and she said that ain't your dick, and that was just 100% correct. So if you could benefit from extra confidence when it's time to perform, visit BlueChew.com for more details and important safety information. We got a special deal for our listeners. Try BlueChew for free when you use our promo code RED, that's RED, at checkout. All you got to do is pay $5 shipping for the hardest dick you've ever had in your whole life. That's BlueChew.com, promo code RED, to receive your first month of absolute diamond cutting cocks for free. And we thank BlueChew for sponsoring the podcast, helping my wiener and helping wieners like yours.
Corey, I need to know, did it feel good that she knew your dick so intimately that she immediately knew it wasn't your dick? Or did it feel bad, like that there was such a difference?
I'm a glass half full of milk kind of guy. And
Yeah,
so
sure.
I definitely was like, hey man, I mean, I took this because I thought it would hit, and it did. You know what I mean? It made my dick hit harder.
Yeah.
So that's just where I'm at. Like, I'm a
Yeah.
real big fan. Like, dude, because the thing is, if
I
you
think it's sweet that she knew. Immediately.
is
I think
sweet.
that's precious.
It is sweet, but like, if you think that I knew going in, like, there's no way this could make my dick hit harder. Like, I've been fucking, I used it back then. I drank a lot. And so I'd sling mush from time to time, but like, there was no mush to this mash. You know what I'm saying? It was just pure, unadulterated chisel and mortar dick. And
Yes.
yeah, she could tell. Immediately she could tell.
And it turns out it was your dick. You know, that's
Yeah.
the great thing about BlueChew. It is your dick.
It is your dick.
Your dick.
Right, exactly. It is your dick. It's just a better dick.
Go to betterdick.com. I'm kidding. Go to
It's
BlueChew.
BlueChew.com, promo code RED, $5 shipping, but your first month for free.
Well, you know what else hits is Caliper CBD. We
It
like
really
CBD
does.
here on this show. What's great about CBD is it helps you feel better without making drastic changes to your routine. It helps calm you down, helps with stress, helps with pain, soreness, helps you sleep. That's one way that hits for me. It helps me with my guts oftentimes. That's how it also hits. But a lot of CBD are oils. A huge percentage of them are oils, little tinctures.
Yep.
Is that really the best modern science has to offer? Not a chance. Meet Caliper, a better way to consume CBD. This past January, Colorado State University published the first peer-reviewed study to compare how different CBD products are absorbed and processed by the body. And get this, Caliper CBD was found to deliver 30 times more CBD than CBD oil does in the first 30 minutes. 30 times is like, that's like, you hear that and you're like, oh, that's a lot. But you really like think about that number.
It's a ton.
That's insane.
Right.
Like, that's a crazy difference.
Like, imagine if you were getting, if you were about to re-up your contract and they were like, you're going to get 30 times more money. Like, that's like, holy shit.
You Floyd Mayweather. No.
Right. Yeah. That's a big leap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Caliper gives you all the benefits of CBD in just 10 minutes, whereas oils could take up to 2 hours to fully absorb. Your body's mostly water. Oil and water don't mix. CBD oil is no different. Caliper believes everyone deserves a simple way to feel better. Unlike CBD oils, Caliper CBD powder is totally tasteless, mixes easily in any food or drink, and I can attest to that. It is tasteless. It's just, dissolve it in water, and it's just like drinking a glass of water. You won't even realize that you're hitting, but you are hitting. How do y'all like to do it? I take a pre-workout pretty much every day, and it's like a shot, and I put it in there with that, and that hits for me.
I do it with I put it in my tea or my coffee, but also I ain't gonna front to you. Sometimes I just pour it in like a dip and just let it.
All right.
Yeah. Because because this
dissolve.
thing, you know what I wouldn't have known until I did that. It's sort of sweet. It kind of tastes like Fun Dip. So like that's kind of now how I do it, because I just assume I'm like, well, that's going.
That don't check out.
I'm like, it's going straight to the dome right there. But like, I do that. But like, sometimes I will have I go on like a pretty long walk every morning if I can help it. And I always take I drink a smoothie before that, and I put it in there, have my CBD, and then it makes my walk. I mean, the stress of the world just completely melts away. It's absolutely tremendous. But yeah, I would suggest like just snooze it up,
Yeah. Yeah, wrap it in a paper towel if you want, or just let it dissolve. I do it before bed, and it's helping my sleep. And then CBD always has. But what's great about a Caliper is that it's immediate. You know what I mean? It's a quicker delivery, and I get right to sleep. And I really, really, really need that.
Yes, but Caliper comes in affordable 30 and 60 count packs. It's individual packets, which gives you the benefits of CBD wherever you go. Caliper is completely THC free, all the goodness of CBD, no high, all natural, non GMO ingredients, no fillers, added chemicals, or artificial flavors. So here's what you do: you get 20% off your first order when you use the promo code WellRED, that's WellRED, at trycaliper.com/WellRED. You can try Caliper CBD risk free for 30 days. And if you don't love it, they give you a full refund. So how about that? Full refund if it don't hit for you, but it will hit for you. And if it does hit for you, you get 20% off your first order when you use the promo code WellRED at trycaliper.com/WellRED. And we thank them for sponsoring the podcast.
Yes, we do.
All right.
I absolutely love that shit.
30 times as
Yes.
much really is a lot. Ads aside.
Yeah, for sure.
I
What
wanted
if you,
to.
what if your dick got 30% bigger when you took
Couldn't handle
BlueChew? Me either. It'd be too
Well,
much, but with
hold
CBD,
on.
that's perfect.
30% bigger. That would be, let's see if it's,
You'd pass out.
I think I
Too
got
much blood.
30% to go. I could
Do you?
improve 30. Yeah. I mean, okay, dude. I've seen some dicks that were
Me too.
definitely 30% bigger than my dick. You know what I mean? And like that,
Yeah.
those dudes are walking around. Yeah. I
They
mean,
got to build up to it, don't you think?
oh, you talking about like if just instantly my dick got bigger, like 30%
Yeah.
bigger? Yeah. I mean, I think I would probably lose some head blood and
Yeah.
and
Maybe some
probably
head blood loss.
pass
It'd
out,
also
but
be
if they were like,
emotional.
yeah, but if they were like, yeah, I
Pouring
guess you're
out for
right.
my old dick.
I'd have to grow like 5% at a time, but like I'd be here for it. By
Yeah,
the way, if
5%
someone told
every
me,
day.
they're like, hey, your dick can get 30% bigger, but right as it does, you're definitely going to pass out and hit your head on the wall and be out for a while, I'd be like, I'll take
Yeah,
that.
worth it.
Whatever.
Sure.
Actually,
Yeah.
I don't care. My dick's fine.
Yeah, you got to find dick. There's nothing
It's
wrong
fine.
with your dick. It's just a
Okay.
matter of what we.
I
How
feel
wild
fine
would
about
that
my
be?
dick too. Yeah.
Well, because I'm like, if Amber left me, I'd be like, bring that back, the 30%
Yeah.
dick thing. Like,
Yeah.
but like, she's already
Make that
here.
deal.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, fuck her when she wants.
I'm just saying that don't matter.
Hey,
I do
so
good with that. I do good with what I got.
speaking of
that's right.
relationships, I've thought a couple times recently, and I wanted to ask y'all, and I know I'm putting y'all on the spot, but still,
Fine.
that relationship humor, right?
Yeah.
In the world of stand up, but just all comedy,
Mhm.
relationship humor is like a massive genre,
Right.
right? I think everyone would agree. And we're all married men. And I was thinking last night, I don't know how it is for y'all, but I'll say mine first. And you could say if a different one comes to your mind. Out of the entire genre of relationship humor, me personally, the longer I'm married, the piece of relationship humor that I consistently come back to and is relevant in my life the most over and over again is actually one that I feel like is a little underappreciated. And that is Kevin Hart's "Sip of My Goddamn
God.
Juice."
Sip of my goddamn
Which,
juice.
if you don't know what I'm talking about, it starts out with him saying like he's with his wife and he's about to go in a store and get something. He's like, I'm gonna get some juice. Would you like something? She's like, no, I'm good. I don't need anything. And then I come back out and she asks, she could get a sip. I said, a sip what? She's like, just a little sip. Oh, a little sip. You just want a little sip,
Little
sip
sip,
of my goddamn
But
juice.
at first it starts out, he goes, when you first together, you go, yeah, is that how you want to do it? Go sip.
Oh,
Go
little sip.
little
Yeah, baby, little
He's
sip.
like, y'all been together for a year, like, sip of my goddamn
Sip of my
juice.
goddamn juice. Because basically just and he talks way more about it, but it's so like, it is, Katie, never don't do this to me.
Always.
Now, it's like, it's the premise of, if y'all still don't know what we're talking about, the idea that like they being women's
Decide they don't want a thing.
they don't want something. They don't want a snack because, oh, they're on a diet or just whatever. They're just not hungry. They don't want a snack. They don't want to drink. They're not thirsty, whatever. You get up, spend your time and effort making something that hits for you, and then come back after they've already said they don't want it. And as soon as they see you over there hitting with it, they're like, give me some of that.
Yeah.
Just like sip of, every single day, at least once in my head, I hear Kevin Hart's voice going, sip of my goddamn juice. It's like every single time. And I don't know if that's how with Katie, it's every single time. I don't know if
I don't have a specific artist that I can think of that has used this. I know I've heard Romano talk about this and a lot of people. The one that always comes to me, and I'm like, one day I'm gonna have a bit on that, but it's kind of tired because everybody's done it. But like, god damn, it's so true. Is the whole idea of let's see, my wife, with my wife, it's what's mine is, or no, with me, it's what's mine is yours, and what's yours is hers. You know what I'm saying? Like that whole thing where like, anytime there's a thing around this house that she wants, that's totally fine. But even if it's like my thing, but like if I go in there and eat a bag of pretzels, she's like, "That was my fucking bag of pretzels." Like, what? You know, what do you mean? And I'm like, well, but what? You took my car and didn't even tell me. Like, I don't like what I can't. That whole idea right there. That again is such a stereotype, gender specific stereotype. But like, I always think about that. I'm just like, okay, so that's just for you then. Okay, yeah. But like, I'm actually kind of new to relationship humor. As it is, like, as for a comedian, and I say that because the pandemic year is kind of the first year that me and Amber have really been together. Like, we've been together and married, but the whole fucking time, all that was going on, we were on the road. So like, it wasn't like being a husband and wife, because I would just like come home, be here for 3 days, and then leave. So like, this year I've kind of had a crash course in that, and I'm like, man, next year I'm going to have so much fucking Ray Romano shit for the first time in my career. It's going to be crazy.
Yeah, but that's like one of the most, I mean, Chris Rock says when you go abroad, always do relationship stuff. I think it's the most relatable thing. So I think that's a good thing.
For sure.
For me, speaking of Chris, you guys remember when he defended OJ?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, I understand.
I'm saying he should have killed her, but I understand.
Well, that's my answer.
Yeah.
Yes. Andy and I have a joke between us where like
driving your car.
Andy and I have a joke between us where like if the other one cheated, she would hurt me if I cheated on her and like just ripped all this down, you know what I mean? Left her for a younger woman, whatever. If she did that to me, I wouldn't hurt her, but I would catch a felony. Like I would set a fucking car on fire. Like you know what I mean? I would hurt her life. You know what I mean? Like if I caught her in bed with somebody and she ran her off with a fucking circus lesbian or whatever, dude, I would absolutely set her car on fire. Not with her in it. Not with her in it, but in front of her. Watch this.
I don't want you to murder Andy. And
me either.
If you did
film it,
if you did, I would be like, yeah, he got to go to prison for that.
Right.
Like that's just
how
that's got to be. But if it was in those circumstances you just described, if it was like what they call a crime of passion, if you literally came home and caught her with somebody and in that moment you snapped and whatever, I'd be like, I'll still come visit and bring him some cookies or whatever.
Yeah.
We can still be boys.
Well,
like, I get he's got to go to prison, but
I wouldn't hate you
off completely.
Yeah, we'd still be buddies.
And to be clear,
maybe closer.
We've had this conversation and she would absolutely hurt me. So it's not like, and I also wanted to say my favorite version of yours, Trey, I think it was Adam Ferrara had a bit about how she's always on a diet. So she don't want nothing.
Right.
And then she eats off your plate. And the line was, even though it's coming off my plate, it's still going to your ass. And that very much hit for me as like a 17-year-old. I was like, what a great
I remember that
line.
I remember that half-hour special of his, dude, it was so fucking, that was the same one that was on that goes what does your father do for a living? My father works like a dog every goddamn day. It was show and tell in class.
He goes, he's talking about his cousin. He's like, he's in construction. He owns a judge, so he's doing pretty good.
Yeah, that's fucking great. I wouldn't, if I caught Amber cheating on me, I would hurt her, but more with like how I lived for the rest of my life. You know what I mean? Like I wouldn't do anything. I'd just be like, okay, that's how it is.
Oh yeah.
Go.
Yeah. Like, oh man, I can't believe that. Sometimes I want Andy to cheat on me so I can get in shape finally.
Yeah. Do you remember how this isn't the exact same thing, but do y'all remember in American Beauty, and Kevin Spacey, he don't hit no more, but Lord, that's one of the hittingest performances of all time in that movie, just as far as really acting goes. Do you remember in American Beauty where he had started working at a fast food place and his wife didn't know because he had just said fuck it to everything?
Yeah.
And she rolled through there with her man that she'd been having an affair with, and they're like fucking all over each other waiting on the burger, and then turn around and he hands it to him, and he says something I don't remember, and she's like, oh, don't get whatever. And then he goes, oh no, you don't get to tell me what to do ever again.
Yeah.
And I was that always hit for me.
That movie is something else.
Dude, that was like because
Oh,
I'm
weird.
pretentious and shit. When that movie came out in like 99, so I was only like 13. And from the time it came out,
You were
Until-
the boy with the bag.
yeah, for sure. The boy with the bag. That was me. Mine was a Walmart bag. Now Dollar General bag.
Dude,
Come on.
That was my pet, actually. We couldn't afford it. I had a flowing in the wind Dollar General bag as a pet. But anyway,
That's
that was
'cause
my
your
go-to
cousin
answer
threw your
for
pet
my-
rock through a window to steal an air conditioner.
man.
That was
speaking
my
of
favorite
pretentious-
movie of all time. And I
Yeah.
told everybody that. I loved that movie. And I
Speaking of
still do love it.
pretentious, when we lived in Harlem and I smoked weed all day, every day, I wrote a whole bit about a black bag that was floating through Harlem that I saw one day while sitting on a bench about how it was up for that role, but it couldn't get it because of racism. Did it that night at a mic and it murdered. And then I tried it the next night, not high, and it was the worst bit I've ever done in my life. And it was in the ether like a black bag.
You went on stage still high and
I
did
used
a
to do that all
bit
the time,
you
dude.
had the idea for
can't.
while you were high.
I used to do that all the time.
Buddy,
It was
when
just
I tell
at, just
you,
at
I
a
can't
mic.
even fathom doing
I
that.
bombed so much at those mics, it became like a who gives a fuck type situation. You know
yeah,
what I
but
mean?
that
You
wouldn't
think you were
even-
bombing because you were stoned?
No, well, yes, but
Right.
it was that was a chicken egg thing, I think.
right.
You know what I mean? Or no, the opposite of
remember
a
one
chicken
time
egg
I
thing. I think I was
accidentally-
bombing first and then
Right,
started
right, right,
doing it.
right, right,
I remember
right.
one time I accidentally got too high to where I was still high when I had to go to work at my shift at O'Charlie's as a server.
Fuck
right?
that.
Yeah.
And dude, you talk about a nightmare.
that wouldn't have hit
It
me
was
either.
a night. The whole
Fuck
even back then,
that.
I can handle my weed so much better. But that still was a fucking nightmare. And ever
Yeah.
since then, it's like any kind of like,
Official
know.
thing.
yeah,
Like, I could
anything
do this
got to do,
podcast
like
high.
I got to do, and I got to do this, especially
yeah,
like,
yeah.
in front of people or involving
Yeah,
other
but-
people or whatever. I'm just like the idea of going on stage.
Uh-uh.
It just wasn't the same
terrified.
as going on stage, though. I feel the same exact way. The idea of doing our show, Stone, makes me want to die. But you got to understand, like, it was just, I was getting up. When I would go out at night, I would do at least 3 mics. It was the same fucking people. They were all just callous, jealous, insecure assholes for the most part, or my friends who were all those things, but my friends. So I felt very like, I don't know, man. It just felt routine. And it was like,
No, I get
fuck
that.
most of these people, and the rest of them are my boys.
No, you ain't wrong for the record. I just wouldn't have done them shows probably. Maybe. I don't know. Or if I guess my thing is like this is me. Like if I'm high and I'm like, well, it's because I don't give a fuck. I'd have been like, well, I'm just gonna stay home. Fuck this shit. But like a lot of people, but most comedians aren't like me in the sense that they're like, yeah, I would still rather be doing this. And I'm not built that way.
I guess I mean, look, man, I was just lost. You know what I mean? Just looking
No,
for
I
some
mean, yeah, it
friends.
sounds like it for sure. But I've also seen you on stage on mushrooms and just absolutely blistering, which is a different thing.
That's different, though.
It is a
that
different
to me
thing,
is
yeah.
like a
That's when Mario hits the star.
yeah, that's a different thing. Well, it's one or the other. You're
Yeah,
fucking
for
lying,
sure.
or you're screaming about 9/11 in front of the fucking Secretary General of the state.
Oh,
of
right. I've
Kentucky.
seen you twice and it was 50-50. You're right, 50-50 booking. But
And the second time you was also that, Joe, or were you not? Were you done before they kicked in at all or something?
I was done before they kicked in. Yeah.
Well,
I was hitting until the last 4 minutes. It's just that that's
No,
the
we
most
know.
important part.
We know. I especially know.
We know.
I know exactly. I know exactly play by play how that went down.
Lord.
I'll do that again at
I
some
know.
point. Not at a theater, probably.
That wasn't a theater.
It wasn't. That was comedy off Broadway.
Yeah.
No, but I did them at a theater. Where is that? Houston, or when Brian was with us, and the fucking mic cut out.
That don't
It's
hit.
also that the time the lady ran up to the stage and told me that I had sold my soul to the devil. And all that
Yes.
shit. Remember that? But I wasn't on mushrooms or
That's
high.
so
or
fucking
anything
crazy. Like,
that.
He was.
I've thought about that recently. That like that lady paid bare minimum $35, also some handling fees, and paid for parking, and left her house to do that.
I know it's
That's
crazy.
fucking
Probably was a
insane.
rush. Just run up to the stage in front of fucking 2,000 people and tell somebody
Yeah.
they're going to hell. That probably
Yeah.
good for her.
I guess so. I mean that.
I mean,
But I wouldn't pay $35 to do that to Matt
agree
Gates.
with you because it's actually the response we've always had to the second thing. But secondly, I'm kind of surprised that that's only ever happened once.
Right.
That
'Cause, like,
lady
we-
did it to me in San Francisco. She was there as somebody's guest, not knowing what we were, and I guess made it halfway through the show was her
yeah.
fucking.
It happening to
threshold.
me or you, that wouldn't surprise me because it'd be like they came here to see Trey and thought everything was gonna be cool, and then we went up and pissed him off, and so they were like, "I must do something." But like, I don't know. That's just next level bizarre to me.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I agree with you. But again, like people ask the questions, like, you ever had people protesting your shows or whatnot? And it's like I always tell them, it's like, no, I'm very much at a internet comment level of hatred. Like,
Right.
it's not worth it to somebody to pay $25 to call me a queer. They'll
Right.
just call me a queer from their basement,
Right. But not that lady.
which I do think is true. But then, like that, one time,
right.
she did.
Is there anybody you'd pay money to be able to say that to their face?
No, I don't give a fuck.
I don't think me either. Plus, I just be doing it on the internet.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Oh,
like,
do you
every
say?
now
Do I
and then
have
just
anyone that's
go,
like that for me? Is that what you
But
said?
you would pay $25 to do it to their face.
No.
No. You
I
mean
don't
like
think I
my
got
cousin
it.
Steven
Dude,
Crowder or
I
like Ben Shapiro
barely-
or somebody like
I
that?
guess.
barely go to
No.
shows that I like the people at them. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like I can't
Mhm.
imagine going just to hate.
What if it wasn't a show? What if it was like somebody got so down and out you could just, it was like a kissing booth, you know? It was a you don't hit booth. You just get to walk up, you just stand in line for a little bit, walk right up. You can even have an appointment, so you don't have to wait long.
Still no, but I like that idea better. That's definitely you
It's like a
almost got me.
Anyway, dude, I don't even think there's ever been a professional wrestler that's fallen hard enough to set up a you don't hit booth. Or Corey,
could
correct me if I'm
see-
wrong, like a famous
what's that-
heel that
what's
didn't have
that
nothing else
great
to
heel?
do.
No,
AEW's heel. What's his name?
MJF.
I could see
Michael-
MJF setting up not that, but in the future, you get your picture and your autograph, but part of the experience is that you get to roast each other.
Can I tell you what he does? And it's better than that.
Okay.
Okay, so because I've been to like all the Starcasts and he's always there. By the way, this was like AEW had just launched. He wasn't as popular as he is right now. He made his meet and greet the most expensive and he put on the thing because I don't want to see any fucking poor people. He said, then for the first 45 minutes of his meet and greet, he was asleep on the table and refused to wake up, and people just took pictures behind him. And it was and by the way, so many people paid money for it because they're like, what does this get? And then he would just be asleep. And then he made like the other worker, he made this dude dress up. He bought a tuxedo for this dude to wear and then get on all fours and be his like leg prop. And then he would just sit there and people would come up and they're like, dude, we're such big fans. And he's like, yeah, well, you look stupid and fat and poor and dumb. Get your picture and get the fuck out of here. And that hit for them, but like they wouldn't roast him back. So it was like kind of the opposite. But yeah, he felt like I sat there and watched for 45 minutes as he just slept on a table and people for $300 would just take their picture behind him. Brilliant.
Into the bit.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Dude, it would hit so hard to be like in a situation like that where like you know what I mean?
I was
Like
so
you just
jealous.
do whatever and it hits for people because like I'm pretty sure we've talked about this on the show before, but if we have, it's been a very long time. But there's like a famous internet story about meeting Larry David where the guy says he met Larry David at like an airport or something, and like Larry David was talking to him at first. He get like one sense like, I love Curb Your Enthusiasm, whatever. And he's like, oh, thank you, I appreciate that. And he's like, yeah, one time I was on the couch with my wife and we were watching the episode where, and then Larry David just goes, I think we're done here. Walks off. And when that dude shares that story, when he tells it, when everyone hears it, they're like, "Oh, that's
That's awesome.
That's the perfect Larry David experience.
Yeah.
Like that's exactly what you want it to be like," which I agree with.
Me too.
You
But
know,
in stand up specifically, don't you like Jeselnik probably is somebody who has that, but
Yeah.
I have to assume his own fans wear him out because they're like really dark.
Yeah. Trying to get him.
shitty assholes. Even if they're not trying to get him, that's probably their personality type.
probably it's like, I mean, like Bert has talked a lot about how like, they had the whole running joke, and it really was just a fucking joke, or running joke for a long time, that Bert Kreischer was America's most racist comedian. Bert Kreischer was America's fattest and most racist comedian, right? That was like his title or whatever.
I've still got my silver medal from that one, by the way.
Yeah, right. And but so people would go with that.
Yeah,
and,
right.
and it like crazy go with that.
Yeah,
and he's
yeah,
like, regular people don't understand bits or how they work.
Right.
You know what I mean? So like he'd say like he'll post a
Never.
picture of him with
No.
Killer Mike or him with Big Boy or something, and people will be in the comments like, yeah, you know, he hates blacks, right? He's like the most racist. This is the most right, but like,
Just
Big
not
Boy
get
don't
it at
know-
all.
Big Boy ain't gonna get that, and they're fucking,
Right.
they're fucking it up the way they're doing it. So all they're
Right.
doing is saying,
No
hey,
context.
he's super racist, and that type of shit happened to him all the time. So even though like he thought it was funny and it was fine to begin with, he got really tired of that
Of course.
shit because people don't know how to
Dude,
act. So they're just
Speaking of
calling him racist all the time.
speaking of that and fans not getting the bit, that I just went through a pretty big experience of that this past week where I self-cancel I fake self-canceled myself and dude, here's the funny thing is like what I mean by that is like there wasn't people that were just like, yeah, fuck you, Corey, you should have apologized for that. Like it wasn't that. Like it was so many people like, dude,
Defending you.
you're fine. Don't be so hard on yourself. And I'm like, y'all, I started my apology video with me burping directly into the camera. Like what more do I have to do? But like, dude, so many people just did not get it. And honestly, it pleased me.
So
Yeah.
I mean, I would like to tell a brief version of the
Go
story
ahead.
real quick. What happened was there's and you know, I mean, whatever. I don't know how to do it without this. It's on an episode of Weekly Skews. Anyone
That's
can go
fine.
look up. So there's no point in trying to give anybody aliases or anything. There's a wonderful human being currently running for Congress in Corey's home district in Georgia named Marcus Flowers. He's a U.S. Army veteran. Corey and I both like know Marcus, but Corey knows Marcus way better and had talked to Marcus tons of times on the phone and everything. I had only like DM'd Marcus a couple times. He followed me on Twitter. I followed him, and it's just like, hey, you hit for me too, kind of thing. And that was it. And then Marcus a few weeks ago said, you know, about to launch this campaign video. I was hoping, you know, I hope we have your support or whatever. And I was like, dude, of course you got my support. And then I said, matter of fact, I have a political podcast that's live and I would love to have you come on it and, you know, talk about your campaign or whatever. And at first, I think all of this context makes the ultimate story funnier, in my opinion. At first, Marcus was, and I don't blame him at all. I swear to God, I don't blame him at all. Marcus was a little like trepidatious about doing that because it's like, you know, he thinks he's going to get on there and me and or Smart Mark is going to talk about how he should just hit Marjorie Taylor Greene with a fucking bus and be done with it or whatever. Right. Who knows? Because, you know, he's like, he don't want to have his campaign like derailed by some stupid internet dumbass or whatever. Yeah. And I get that.
Laying it on thick, Trey.
Yeah, right. Well, this is all true. And I told him, I was like, dude, I was like, listen, man, I don't blame you at all. If you're not comfortable, it's fine. I promise you, I'm not going to pull no shit like that on you. That's not how I am. Like, it'll be super casual, laid back, no gotcha bullshit, nothing like that. If you're not comfortable with it, it's fine. And then we got up to a point where like
Mark had a dentist appointment.
Yeah, but before that even happened, Marcus was like, okay, I'll do it. We scheduled it for like actually 3 weeks from now still, like way out in April or whatever. But then all that shit had happened in Georgia with the voting rights thing. And Smart Mark had a dentist appointment. Was like, I don't know if I'll be back in time to do the show. So we're going to be talking about Georgia. Corey's a senior Georgia correspondent. So we're like, oh, Corey can sit in. Separately, I know that Marcus had said to Corey that it would hit for Marcus. It would make him more comfortable or whatever.
He called me and was like, do you want to come on?
Yeah. If Corey was present also, which I was fine with. So Marcus had like requested that Corey be present and I was totally fine with that. So 2 things that happened.
The story's starting to rule.
Yeah. Yes. Marcus had requested Corey be present. And I was like, dude, of course. He's senior Georgia correspondent. It's not a problem at all. But then 2 things had happened. Georgia was in the news again, and Corey was already going to be on the show because of that and because of Mark's absence. So I asked Marcus, I was like, because of all this, what do you think about moving it up and we'll just do it this Tuesday? And he was like, yeah, that's fine. And so the stars had aligned perfectly, I think, from mine and also Marcus's perspective. So Corey gets on there and he told me, he was like, look, listen, you know, I don't know nothing about none of this stuff, right? I'm just coming on to hit. And I was like, yes, I know. Of course I know that. You are only ever required to hit, even though you're co-hosting, you ain't got to pretend to be Smart Mark. Nobody is expecting that. You just hit. That's fine. The guest always comes on at the half-hour point. So by the time we get to the half-hour point, Cho has been hitting for 30 minutes.
and drinking.
And drinking. And we had talked about Marcus coming on. Corey 100% knew the whole deal, but 30 minutes have passed. He's been drinking, he's been hitting. And right at the moment, like producer Matt had sent us a text. Marcus is in the lobby or whatever. And I was like, okay, I'm about to bring him on right now via text, to producer Matt. Right at the half-hour point, Cho was in the middle of some tirade about Republicans and how they don't hit, and then he goes right when I'm about to cut him off and be like, okay, well, let's get to Marcus. He goes, dude, they act like we're whatever, but it's always the Republicans that's got a goddamn apple in their mouth while they're getting pegged in the asshole by watching some fucking Tool Time shit or what.
I was talking about how like they were always talking about how we were like the authoritarian group, and I'm like, they're always saying shit like that, and I always thought that kinky stuff was reserved for liberals and blah 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 blah, but it's always the Republicans gagging on an apple while their wife pegs them in the ass while they're watching Tool Time reruns. Yes. I stand by it.
Yes.
But then Trey went, anyway. And dude, you need to go back and just look at my face when I realized what had happened. Because again, I can't stress you enough. I just 100% forgot what podcast I was on. Like I was just in another world.
So what podcast would you be on where Marcus was the guest?
I forgot Marcus was the guest.
Okay, that's fair.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I forgot Marcus was the guest. Like, I was just hitting. Like, I literally just like, when Trey goes, anyways, Mark, I was like, oh, fuck. Like, we're about to bring Marcus on. Fuck. And I was like, I started pleading for my life. I was like, dude, Marcus is a goddamn ex-military. Like, he's a super serious guy. Like, he's going to fucking kill me. And we did talk afterwards. I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah.
But anyways, I went on and apologized for that. And there was a lot of people, and I am sorry for y'all. Like, I am sorry to y'all, but I apologize to Marcus and you separately. In the video, I was pretending to apologize to conservatives, which I would never. And a lot of people were like DMing me like, dude, it's totally fine. Like, don't worry about it.
Yeah. So that's how that went.
Well,
if it was like, he did apologize to me and I told him it was fine because it is fine because, Cho is as Cho does, but also like all the additional added background context of Corey and Marcus's history together that they have and all that stuff made me less worried about it from a personal level. I guess I was like, hey,
we gonna do
that's your boy. That's your boy right there.
Yeah. I mean, even though you've like stepped into a slightly different lane, you did it with your shirt off and a fucking wrestle belt over your shoulder. Right. It's still the Cho.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think everybody knows we're like, hey, we like this guy. Definitely, he's on the same team. But like, obviously, we're not gonna like put him in our like official campaign videos, right? Like, no, let him just do. He'll do one. He'll get drunk and do one. It'll be fine. So yeah, I agree with you.
Did it. All right. Well,
hey, like, subscribe, download, tell all your friends about this podcast. Leave us a 5-star review, and we'll see you next week. How about it?
Yeah.
Listen to our other podcasts.
Yeah, them too. Drew's got Into the Biscuit. You can see it right there behind him. I've got
me and DJ and a possum.
Yeah, I've got Through the Screen Door. Trey has, as you now know, Evening Skews with Smart Mark AG, and I would say it'll probably be a while before I'm back on. So.
Yeah, I'll be coming in as the legal correspondent when Marcus sues.
Right. Yeah, I don't blame him.
All righty. Yeah. Well, we love y'all.
All right. Love everybody.
See you. Bye.
They're the liberal rednecks. They like cornbread and butt sex. They care way too much but don't give a fuck. They're the liberal rednecks that makes some people upset, but they got 3 big old dicks that you can suck.